In 1886, an Atlanta pharmacist named John Stith Pemberton was searching for a new idea. The American Civil War had ended years earlier. Pemberton had been seriously wounded during the war and suffered from chronic pain for the rest of his life. Like many pharmacists of his time, he experimented with medicines, herbal extracts, and syrups, hoping to create something that could improve people's lives. His small pharmacy wasn't making him rich. Bills continued to pile up. Competition grew stronger every year. Some days, only a handful of customers walked through his door. Still, he refused to give up. Late at night, after most of Atlanta had gone to sleep, Pemberton stood over a large breast cattle, carefully mixing different ingredients: sugar, syrup, natural flavorings, plant extracts, essential oils. He tested one recipe after another. Some tasted terrible, others were far too bitter, many failed completely, but every failure taught him something new. He believed that somewhere among hundreds of experiments was a formula like anything the world had ever tasted. Finally, on May 8, 1886, after countless attempts, he created a dark caramel-colored syrup that seemed different. He carried the syrup to Jacob's Pharmacy in downtown Atlanta. There, it was mixed with cold carbonated water. The first glass was served for 5 cents. Customers described the drink as refreshing, smooth, and surprisingly unique. No one realized they were tasting what would eventually become the most famous soft drink in history. Pemberton, as bookkeeper, Frank Mason Robinson, believed the drink needed a memorable name. He suggested Coca-Cola, using elegant Spencerian handwriting. He designed the famous logo that, more than a century later, would still be recognized by billions of people around the world. The first newspaper advertisements soon appeared. They promoted Coca-Cola as a refreshing tonic and an enjoyable everyday drink. But reality was disappointing. During its first year, Coca-Cola sold only about 9 glasses per day. Each glass cost 5 cents. Daily revenue averaged only 45 cents. Annual sales reached roughly 50. Meanwhile, operating expenses exceeded 70. Instead of making money, the business lost it. Pemberton had spent years developing the formula, yet almost nobody seemed interested. Friends encouraged him to abandon the project. Some believed soft drinks would never become a serious business. Others advised him to return to selling traditional medicines. Financial pressure became overwhelming. Medical bills increased. Debts continued growing. His health declined month after month. Every morning brought new worries. Every evening ended with more uncertainty. Unable to see a path forward, Pemberton made one of the hardest decisions of his life. He began selling ownership rights to Coca-Cola, not because he wanted to, because he needed money to survive. Piece by piece, share by share, different investors purchased portions of the business. The payments were relatively small. No one imagined those ownership shares would one day be worth billions of dollars. In 1888, at just 57 years old, John Stith Pemberton passed away. He never witnessed Coca-Cola as success. He died believing his greatest invention had failed. He never saw Coca-Cola expand across the United States. He never saw bottling plants open around the world. He never saw the company survive wars, economic crises, and generations of competition. He never saw Coca-Cola become available in more than 200 countries and territories. He never saw more than 2 billion servings of Coca-Cola products enjoyed every single day. He never saw annual revenue grow into tens of billions of dollars. He never saw the company become worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The man who created one of the world's greatest brands never experienced its fortune. His story ended with debt, illness, and uncertainty. But sometimes history works in unexpected ways. Sometimes the inventor never receives the reward. After John Pemberton's death, Coca-Cola seemed destined to disappear. The drink had failed to become profitable. Sales remained low. Very few people knew its name. Most investors saw no future in the small business. But one man saw something different. His name was Arthur Griggs Candler. He was a pharmacist, businessman, and an ambitious entrepreneur with an extraordinary belief in marketing. While others focused on the disappointing sales, Candler focused on the product itself. He believed Coca-Cola wasn't just another drink. He believed it could become a household name. Over several years, Candler gradually purchased the rights to Coca-Cola from different owners. The total cost was only about $200–300. At the time, it was still a significant amount of money. But compared to what Coca-Cola would later become, it was almost nothing. Many people thought he had wasted his savings. Friends questioned his decision. Some even laughed at him. It couldn't understand why anyone would spend thousands of dollars on a drink that barely sold a few glasses each day. But Candler wasn't buying Coca-Cola for what it was. He was buying it for what it could become. He knew that creating a great product wasn't enough. People had to know it existed, so he made a bold decision. Instead of saving his money, he invested almost everything into advertising. It was an enormous risk. If the campaign failed, he could lose his business, his savings, his reputation, everything. At the time, spending large amounts of money on advertising seemed almost reckless. Most businesses relied on word of mouth. Candler thought differently. He ordered thousands of colorful posters. He printed calendars with the Coca-Cola logo. He placed advertisements in newspapers across the country. He handed out clocks, notebooks, trays, and signs carrying the Coca-Cola name. Everywhere people looked, they began seeing the same red logo. Then he introduced something almost unheard of at the time: free coupons. Millions of them. People could walk into pharmacies and receive their first glass of Coca-Cola at no cost. Many business owners thought the idea was crazy. Why would you give away your product for free? They asked. Candler smiled. He believed that once people tasted Coca-Cola, they would come back. And he was right. The strategy worked. Thousands of people tried the drink. Many returned, then they brought friends, families, co-workers. Sales began climbing month after month. What had once been only 9 glasses a day became hundreds, then thousands. Soon pharmacies across America wanted to sell Coca-Cola. The small drink was becoming a national sensation. As demand increased, Candler continued investing. He refused to slow down. Every dollar the company earned went back into growing the business. He expanded production, improved quality, strengthened distribution, protected the Coca-Cola trademark. He understood something that many competitors ignored. A strong brand could become more valuable than the product itself. By the late 1890s, Coca-Cola had become one of the fastest growing beverage companies in the United States. Sales multiplied year after year. Revenue continued rising. The company was no longer fighting for survival, it was building momentum. People began asking for Coca-Cola by name. The logo became familiar across the country. Retailers proudly displayed Coca-Cola signs in their windows. The brand was becoming part of everyday American life. Then came another important decision. Independent entrepreneurs proposed bottling Coca-Cola so customers could enjoy it anywhere, not just at soda fountains. Many people doubted the idea. Candler himself was uncertain at first, but bottling would soon become one of the biggest reasons Coca-Cola spread around the world. The business that once seemed worthless was now growing faster than almost anyone had imagined. The investment of about $200–300 had begun creating extraordinary wealth. But this was still only the beginning. The greatest expansion in Coca-Cola as history was yet to come. Soon, the little drink created in a small pharmacy would cross oceans, survive wars, and become one of the most valuable brands the world had ever seen. By the early 1890s, Arthur Candler had realized something that would change business history forever. A great product alone was not enough. People had to remember it. They had to ask for it by name. They had to see it everywhere. So Candler made one of the boldest marketing decisions of his time. Instead of saving money, he spent it aggressively. He invested enormous amounts into advertising. Newspapers, magazines, street signs, store displays, calendars, posters, wall paintings, pocket notebooks, serving trays, clocks. Even pharmacies received Coca-Cola signs free of charge. Soon, the red Coca-Cola logo appeared almost everywhere Americans looked. Then came an idea that seemed completely crazy. Free coupons, millions of them. Customers could walk into participating pharmacies and receive their very first glass of Coca-Cola absolutely free. Many businessmen criticized the strategy. "You were giving away your profits," they said. But Candler understood human psychology. If people enjoyed their first drink, many would return, and they did. The campaign became one of the first large-scale coupon marketing campaigns in American history. Hundreds of thousands of people tried Coca-Cola for the first time. Then millions. Word spread quickly. Families recommended it to friends. Travelers introduced it to new towns. The brand was growing faster than anyone expected. Sales climbed every single year. The company expanded into more cities. More pharmacies wanted to sell Coca-Cola. Soon, demand became so high that serving the drink only at soda fountains was no longer enough. Then another revolutionary idea appeared: bottling. In 1899, two businessmen, Benjamin Thomas and Joseph Whitehead, convinced Osa Candler to allow Coca-Cola to be bottled and sold across the country. The bottling rights were reportedly sold for just $1. At the time, Candler believed bottled drinks had little future. He called me to imagine how important that decision would become. The first bottling plant soon opened, then more followed. Small factories appeared across the United States. Instead of drinking Coca-Cola only inside pharmacies, people could now buy bottles and take them home. The business changed almost overnight. Production increased dramatically. Thousands of bottles became hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands became millions. Every new bottling plant created new jobs, new delivery routes, new customers. By the early 1900s, Coca-Cola had become one of America's fastest growing consumer brands. Advertising continued expanding. The company sponsored community events. Restaurants displayed Coca-Cola signs. Railway stations sold the drink. Hotels served it. Even small general stores proudly stocked Coca-Cola bottles. The famous logo became one of the most recognizable symbols in America. People no longer asked for a soft drink, they asked for Coca-Cola. The brand itself had become part of everyday language. Competitors tried to copy its success. Some created similar names. Others copied the bottle, others imitated the advertisements. But Coca-Cola fought to protect its identity. The company registered trademarks, defended its brand in court, and constantly improved its marketing. By the 1910s, Coca-Cola was selling millions of bottles every year. Revenue increased rapidly, profits continued rising. The company expanded its bottling network across the country. New factories opened almost every year. What had once been a small syrup mixed in a neighborhood pharmacy had become a national business. Then, in 1915, Coca-Cola introduced one of the most famous packages in history. The unique contour glass bottle. The design was so distinctive that people could recognize it even in the dark or by touch alone. It became an icon of the brand. Another brilliant marketing decision. Sales continued breaking records. More factories, more workers, more trucks, more bottles, more customers. By the 1920s, Coca-Cola was no longer just an American soft drink. It had become a symbol of modern business. New bottling plants opened every year. The distribution network expanded across the United States. Millions of bottles were sold annually. The company's revenue continued climbing. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. Then disaster struck. In 1929, the Great Depression began. The American economy collapsed. Banks failed. Factories closed. Millions of people lost their jobs. Families struggled to buy even basic necessities. Thousands of businesses disappeared forever. Many famous companies went bankrupt. People believed Coca-Cola would be next. After all, soft drinks were not essential for survival. Customers had less money than ever before. Every penny mattered, but Coca-Cola refused to surrender. Instead of raising prices, the company made a remarkable decision. A bottle of Coca-Cola would still cost 5 cents. The same price customers had known for decades, even as production costs increased. Even as profits came under pressure, the company believed that if people could afford one small luxury during difficult times, they would choose Coca-Cola. That decision helped preserve customer loyalty. While many businesses lost their customers, Coca-Cola kept theirs. Millions of Americans continued buying the familiar glass bottle. The company survived one of the worst economic crises in history. Then came an even greater challenge. World War I. Factories around the world shifted toward military production. Transportation became difficult, sugar was rationed, raw materials became scarce, building supplies were limited, many companies reduced operations, some stopped expanding completely. Again, Coca-Cola chose a different path. The company, as president, Robert Woodruff, made a bold promise. He declared that every American soldier should be able to buy a bottle of Coca-Cola for 5 cents, no matter where they were serving. Whether in Europe, Africa, the Pacific, or Asia, it sounded impossible. But Coca-Cola made it happen. The company built more than 60 bottling plants near military bases around the world. Millions of bottles were produced for soldiers. For many troops, Coca-Cola became a small reminder of home during the hardships of war. When the war ended, something unexpected happened. The bottling plants remained. The local populations had discovered Coca-Cola. Demand exploded. Countries that had never sold the drink before now wanted it. What had begun as support for soldiers became one of the greatest international expansion strategies in business history. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Coca-Cola entered market after market. Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Japan, Australia, Germany, France, Italy. Dozens of new countries joined the growing network. Every new factory created jobs. Every new distributor expanded the brand. Every new customer strengthened the business. Advertising became more global than ever. Television commercials reached millions of households. Bright red billboards appeared in major cities. Sporting events featured the Coca-Cola logo. Holiday campaigns became famous around the world. The company wasn't simply selling a drink anymore. It was selling happiness, friendship, celebration, and unforgettable moments. By the 1970s, Coca-Cola had become one of the most recognized brands on earth. Its famous Contra bottle was instantly recognizable. Its red and white logo was known across continents. The company continued introducing new products while strengthening its flagship brand. Factories expanded, production reached extraordinary levels. Every minute, thousands of bottles left production lines around the world. Revenue climbed into the billions of dollars. Profits continued growing year after year. Investors watched the company as value rise steadily. By the end of the 20th century, Coca-Cola products were sold in more than 100 countries, and expansion continued into even more markets. What had once been a syrup mixed inside a small pharmacy in Atlanta had become one of the greatest global business success stories ever told. The company had survived economic collapse, global war, supply shortages, changing consumer habits, and fierce competition. Each crisis had made Coca-Cola stronger. Each obstacle had expanded its reach. The tiny drink that once sold only 9 glasses a day had become a global empire serving millions of customers every single day. But the biggest financial success was still ahead. In the decades that followed, Coca-Cola would become one of the most valuable brands in history, selling billions of drinks every year, generating tens of billions of dollars in annual revenue, and building a business worth hundreds of billions of dollars. By the late 20th century, Coca-Cola was no longer simply a beverage company. It had become one of the most recognizable brands on earth. Its famous red logo could be seen in cities, villages, airports, restaurants, stadiums, supermarkets, and vending machines across the globe. Few companies in history had achieved such universal recognition. Children knew the logo, adults trusted the brand, entire generations had grown up drinking Coca-Cola. The company continued expanding into new markets. New factories opened every year. More bottling partners joined the global network. New products were introduced alongside the original Coca-Cola. Sprite, Fanta, Minute Maid, Powerade, Dasani, and dozens of other beverages became part of the company's growing portfolio. Soon, Coca-Cola wasn't selling one drink. It was selling hundreds of different beverages. The numbers became almost impossible to imagine. Every minute, millions of bottles and cans were produced. Every hour, trucks delivered products across thousands of cities. Every day, people in restaurants, offices, schools, sporting events, movie theaters, airports, and homes reached for a Coca-Cola product. Today, more than 2 billion servings of Coca-Cola products are consumed every single day. That equals over 25 zero drinks every second, more than 800 billion servings every year. Very few companies in history have ever reached customers on such an enormous scale. The business grew far beyond soft drinks. Coca-Cola products became available in more than 200 countries and territories. The company built one of the largest distribution systems ever created. Millions of refrigerators displayed its products. Hundreds of thousands of stores sold Coca-Cola every day. Its bottling network employed hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Financially, the company became a giant. Annual revenue climbed into the tens of billions of dollars. Year after year, billions of dollars in profit flowed through the business. Investors watched the company as value continued to rise. The Coca-Cola brand itself became one of the most valuable trademarks in history. Marketing experts estimated its brand value at tens of billions of dollars, making it one of the strongest global brands ever created. The company spent billions of dollars on advertising. Its commercials became legendary. Its Christmas campaigns featuring Santa Claus became part of holiday traditions in many countries. Major sporting events proudly displayed the Coca-Cola logo. The company became an official partner of the Olympic Games, the FIFA World Cup, and many of the world's biggest international events. Billions of television viewers saw the brand every year, no matter where people traveled. They could often find the same familiar red bottle. Even during economic recessions, political changes, and global uncertainty, Coca-Cola continued serving customers. The company survived world wars, financial crises, changing consumer preferences, new competitors, and more than a century of business challenges. Its ability to adapt became one of its greatest strengths. Investors often describe Coca-Cola as one of the most reliable companies in the stock market. Its shares rewarded long-term investors for decades. The company's market value eventually exceeded $300 billion, placing it among the world's most valuable consumer brands. What made the story even more extraordinary was where it had started. A small pharmacy, one pharmacist, one handwritten recipe, only 9 glasses sold each day. Daily revenue of just 45 cents, a business that initially lost money. A formula that its inventor believed had failed, yet over time, that same formula helped build one of the greatest business empires in history. Today, Coca-Cola is far more than a drink. It is a symbol of branding, marketing, global business, consistency, and long-term vision. Business schools study its advertising strategies. Entrepreneurs analyze its growth. Years later, during a business conference, a young entrepreneur asked, "How can a simple drink become one of the biggest companies in the world?" The speaker smiled, then answered, "Because Coca-Cola never sold only a drink. It sold an experience, a feeling, a memory." That simple answer captured more than a century of business history. The original formula was important, but the formula alone was never enough. Thousands of companies have created good products. Most of them disappeared. What made Coca-Cola different was its vision, its consistency, its courage to invest when others were afraid, its willingness to think decades ahead instead of months ahead. John Stith Pemberton created a syrup in a small pharmacy. He never became rich. He never saw his invention succeed. He died believing his greatest idea had failed. Yet the story didn't end with him. Oscar Candace saw opportunity where everyone else saw failure. He risked almost everything he owned. He invested heavily in advertising when few companies believed marketing mattered. He gave away millions of free samples. He built trust before asking customers to buy. That decision changed business forever. Then came generations of leaders who refused to stop growing. They survived the Great Depression. They survived 2 world wars. They expanded into new countries. They adapted to changing markets. They protected the brand through every challenge. Every crisis became another chapter instead of the final page. Over time, Coca-Cola became more than a beverage. It became one of the most recognizable brands in human history. Today, Coca-Cola products are enjoyed more than 2 billion times every single day. They are sold in over 200 countries and territories. The company generates tens of billions of dollars in annual revenue. Its market value has exceeded 300 billion. Millions of restaurants, stores, hotels, airports, movie theaters, supermarkets, and vending machines serve Coca-Cola every day. But behind all those extraordinary numbers lies one very ordinary beginning. A small pharmacy, one pharmacist, one handwritten recipe, a drink that sold only 9 glasses a day, a business that lost money, an inventor who never experienced success. Few stories in business history are more ironic. The man who created one of the world's most valuable brands never enjoyed the fortune it produced. His idea outlived him. His dream became someone else's opportunity. And together, that idea transformed the beverage industry forever. Coca-Cola teaches a lesson that goes far beyond business. Success is rarely instant. The greatest opportunities often look ordinary in the beginning. Many people quit because they don't see immediate results. Others keep building, keep improving, keep believing. History usually remembers the people who continue after everyone else has stopped. A simple syrup became a global empire. A failed invention became a household name. A local pharmacy became the birthplace of one of the most successful companies the world has ever known. More than 140 years have passed since the first glass of Coca-Cola was served. Generations have come and gone. Wars have been fought. Economies have risen and fallen. Technology has transformed the world, yet Coca-Cola remains. Not because it was the first soft drink, not because it was perfect, but because people believed in an idea, invested in it, protected it, and never stopped improving it. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Great businesses are not built overnight. They are built through patience, through courage, through countless setbacks, and through the determination to keep moving forward when success still seems impossible. One pharmacist, one recipe, one small dream, and an idea that changed the business world forever.